So as many of you guys know, I love selling options. It wasn't always like that. I was buying short-term options. I was selling puts on volatile stocks, chasing income and yield. But that all changed a couple of years ago when I came across this paper called The Art of Selling Puts by Goldman Sachs. Selling puts, when done correctly, is one of the most consistent and most proven strategies to not only beat the S&P 500, but beat it on a risk-adjusted basis. So if that's true, then why do so many people still get it wrong? And what is the right way to sell puts? That's the question I'm going to answer today in this video. Selling puts is a very popular strategy, especially among retail investors. Now, why is that? Because you get to win a lot of the time, collect premium month after month or week after week, and it feels incredibly consistent and for the most part, profitable. And honestly, that premium when you collect that dopamine hit is intoxicating, right? Because it feels like free money, similar to how dividends feel when we get that dividend payout. And what convinces us further is that our life experience shows us that in most cases, selling puts and calls is a winning strategy, that there is an edge here. And the Art of Selling Puts, that paper, proves that selling puts is a great strategy. It has a systematic edge and explains why that edge exists. And the reason that selling puts works comes down to one main thing. Options are typically priced higher than what ends up happening. In other words, people are willing to pay for more risk than what actually materializes in the market. You hear this all the time, right? That's when people say your implied volatility is greater than the realized volatility. And that difference between the two, that is the arbitrage, or that is the edge that we have. The market is especially willing to pay for downside protection. And the reason for that is really simple. The market tends to move up very slowly. And then when it crashes really hard. That fear gets priced in, and the puts that we sell actually has even more difference between the risk and the actualized risk. That's great because that explains why selling puts works from a systematic point of view. However, that's not the important part. If it really were that simple, then everyone would be able to sell puts successfully and consistently. There's a lot of variables that we have to choose when selling that one put option. We have strike price, we have underlying stock, we have DTEs, we have maybe implied volatility. There's so many different variables. And what ends up happening is that people optimize for the wrong variable. Let me explain. When we're selling options, we take on a lot of small wins. It's very common we have one large loss that wipes us out. And honestly, this is by design. That is the risk to selling options. Because when you're selling options, that tail risk is where the volatility is actually greater than what the implied volatility is. And that is why we end up losing money when we sell options. It's because we're not mitigating against the actual risk. So if we want to sell puts successfully, then we have to understand what that risk is. And more importantly, we have to quantify what that risk is. And this is where a really important concept comes in. We like to call it the Sharpe ratio. It's a fancy equation, but what it really means is how much return am I getting for the amount of risk that I'm taking on. Let me just use two charts to demonstrate. We have a chart on the left where there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows. And on the other side, we have a chart that's basically a flat line getting the same amount of return. The one on the left is obviously a lot more volatile. So what this means is even though both graphs get the same return, the risk that they took on to get that return is very different. The one on the left took on a lot more risk. The one on the right took on a lot less. And so the one that looks like a roller coaster has a much lower Sharpe, and the one on the right has a much higher Sharpe. We as investors, doesn't matter if you're a hedge fund or a retail investor, we want to make as much money for as little risk as possible. And there is actually another reason why we want to be on the right with a very high Sharpe. As retail investors, we are managing basically our own money. We have really high highs and really low lows. We have to make decisions on, do we want to sell? Do we want to buy? And this is why we get the saying where we buy high and we sell low. And so in order to avoid that, we want to change the trajectory of our chart from the left to the right. These smoother returns don't just improve your Sharpe ratio, right? What it actually allows us to do is it makes the strategy consistent because we aren't always under stress. That's why Sharpe is really important, even for us as retail investors. So how do we actually lower our risk while still improving our return? Now, this paper tested many different approaches to choosing the underlying and choosing the strike price. So for example, choosing a strike price, they use all of our familiar terms, right? Yield, percent out of the money, delta. And they can see that by choosing strike prices based off of that criteria, there actually isn't a substantial increase in risk-adjusted returns, which is your Sharpe ratio and your total returns. Obviously, the higher your returns, the closer you are to the money, which means a lower Sharpe. And the further away from the money, the lower the return and the higher the Sharpe. Let's move on to choosing the underlying. They also use many, many different categories. Filtering by market cap, filtering by IV. You can see that there's actually some criteria that just do not have an edge in the market whatsoever. Selling puts on small cap stocks tend to underperform the S&P 500. Even selling it on high volatility stocks tends to return worse or around the same, which is not a good sign because you would rather just own the S&P 500 at that point in time. But what they did find is staggering. At the bottom of this table, you'll see they filtered by something called free cash flow yield. And free cash flow yield is just a valuation metric that takes free cash flow divided by market price per share. So it has to be a profitable company that has really good cash flow, as well as a company that is relatively well valued, which is the denominator. They return higher returns as well as a substantial increase in Sharpe, which means that the risk-adjusted return is actually significantly higher than the S&P 500. What that means is they are essentially choosing the most profitable companies that are fairly valued. And that kind of makes sense. Those companies are where risk is most often mispriced. The market tends to move a lot less for very stable companies. Those options, that delta between the realized volatility and the implied volatility is even larger for these really stable companies. And we're trying to optimize for our edge because this is where VRP can be taken advantage of even more so than other criteria. Now that we have the underlying, they decided to take it one step further. They decided to choose a strike price not based on yield, not based on OT, out of the money, not based on delta like we talked about earlier, but on the same free cash flow yield. So you see right here is 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times. And this is actually, I think, the most fascinating part of this paper. If you're selling really far out of the money, which is 1 time your free cash flow yield, so for example, you have a free cash flow yield of 12%, and you're trying to make 1% every month, you have an extremely high Sharpe ratio, but a lower return. But because your Sharpe is so high, your risk-adjusted return is 24.3%, which is around 2 to 3 times more than what the S&P 500 returns on a risk-adjusted basis. I'll talk a little bit more about what you can do with that number later on in the next couple minutes. But what that shows you is you are making a lot more money while taking on a lot less risk. Now, even if you were to get more aggressive with your strike prices, 2 times or 3 times your free cash flow yield, which means I'm closer to the money, you can see that your Sharpe ratio is still substantially higher than what the S&P 500 is, right? Almost double of what it is, slightly more. Now, what this shows you is not that you should use free cash flow yield as your strike price, but what this shows you is that when you're selling puts on consistently profitable companies that are fairly valued, you can sell puts far out of the money. And 2, you can also sell puts closer to the money. You can get higher returns while having a very, very high Sharpe. This paper fundamentally changed how I sell puts. If you just take a look at my portfolio, which implements elements of this paper, you can see how the Sharpe ratio idea comes to play. If you look at my portfolio, right, this graph looks a lot like a straight line for good reason, right? Because I'm trying to minimize as much volatility as possible. Now, if you take out all the equity that was assigned from selling puts and just look at the option selling results, you can see that our Sharpe ratio is actually extremely high, 4.3. Right? And it's mainly because we are doing exactly what this paper is telling us to do. We are selling puts on the most efficient, the most profitable companies when they are fairly valued. And depending on the market situations at that time, I can then sell a strike price that is further out of the money or one that is closer to the money. Optimizing for your risk-adjusted return, optimizing for as little volatility as possible helped me make the best choices when it comes to choosing the right companies to sell options on and choosing the right strike prices to sell options for. Now, one last thing. The concept of Sharp is actually really interesting if you understand how to leverage it one step further. I don't do this on my channel because I don't like to touch margin, but the idea of having a higher Sharp means you're taking on less risk. We're being more efficient, right? And so therefore we can actually deploy more capital to match the same amount of risk that another strategy would have. For example, matching the S&P 500. So I'm gonna give you one example. The S&P 500 here is at a 7.3% return with a standard deviation 18% for a Sharp ratio of 0.5. Okay? But if you compare the one-time free cash flow yield as the strike selector, right? You're at 5.1%, but only a 4% standard deviation, right? You have a Sharp of 1.35. It means that you are taking on approximately a quarter of the risk. On a per risk unit basis, for every 1% of risk, you're making 1.3% return, as opposed to for SPX, you're making around 0.4% per 1% risk. So if you want to match the 18% standard deviation on SPX, you can actually deploy more capital, which means you can actually end up getting close to that 24.3% SPX risk equivalent CAGR. Because your strategy is more efficient, you can use more money to make the same amount of risk, right? We trade to risk, not to profit. That's about it. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments. Like this video, learn something, make sure you guys click that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. As to my channel members, again, thank you guys so much for supporting me the way that you guys do. If you guys want to check out the trades that I take in my public portfolio, make sure you guys check out this playlist right here. And if you guys want to dive deeper into the actual strategy that I implement in that public portfolio, make sure you guys check out this masterclass that I made in put selling right here. Until next time, like always, stay safe in the market. Peace.